Assalamu alaikum and welcome to this week's edition of Sisters Corner, the topical show where we talk about a variety of issues which are of relevance to Muslim women, all women, and actually any decent person who wants to make a difference and wants to understand what's happening in our society. Inshallah, viewers, you're fit and well today, and we'd like to invite you to join us in today's debate and discussion. So there'll be a number at the bottom of the screen, so please do join in if you've got any questions or any comments. I am blessed today to be joined by Sister Urfana Ayub, who's a mother and a counsellor and a carer, and most recently she's found herself in the position of author. So welcome. Assalamu alaikum, sister. How are you?
Wa alaikum assalam. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. I'm so blessed, and so thank you so much for agreeing to come and talk to us about what many would say is a very difficult subject. We'll be talking about how Sister Urfana has coped with the loss of her child and how the coping mechanism she employed to help address her bereavement reactions, and what she's trying to do now actually in terms of helping other families with the same journey that she's been on. So thank you again. Would you like to tell us, Urfana, please, a little bit about yourself, how you've arrived here?
Arrived here in UK?
Well, the beginning of your journey, shall we say, and then we'll pick it up.
Right, okay. I mean, I know that you've just introduced me as an author. I never chose writing. I always feel like writing chose me, or maybe the circumstances chose me to write. And I've written 2 books after the death of my son. Adam was my eldest son, and when he died, I was just looking for a way of expression. And that was when I wrote my first personal diary. And that diary was later came into the shape of a book.
Okay.
My first book.
So, would you just like to show us one of your books, please, and then we'll just so our viewers can know what we're talking about.
Okay, this one is my first book. It's called Tere Jaane Ke Baad, which is actually now launching as After You Were Gone in English. So this book was about my feelings and emotion and my first year after losing Adam.
Okay,
Yep.
Thank you. So we are going to start at the beginning with Urfana actually, and as you can see, Urfana's completed 3 books now, and the latest in English, and as I promised, we'll start at the beginning. So Urfana, you grew up in Pakistan, you've been in this country since 1990s early?
Yeah.
Roughly, and you've been working in various roles in sort of the social care sector,
Yes.
shall we say.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it is. But actually what brings you to us today is you in your role as mother, having lost a child. So when was your child Adam born?
91.
Oh,
It was
so
1991, yeah.
So that was shortly after you came to this country?
Yes. Yeah.
So did you speak English at the time?
Yeah.
Just as
Yeah.
yeah.
I was speaking fluent English at that time because I was educated in
Pakistan,
yes,
and an English medium school.
English medium schools,
Right,
yeah.
excellent.
Yeah.
That explains a lot of things. That was just curiosity, really.
Okay.
So Adam was born. He was your first child. Was he, alhamdulillah, fit and well, or did he have early indications of any illness?
Yes, he was born with heart condition. He was a blue baby.
A blue baby.
Blue baby.
And what is one of those, please, if you don't mind?
He was one of his chamber was missing, basically. So the whole blood circulation, because of the blood circulation, his color used to get blue. And they had to do some surgeries when he was small. He had his open heart surgery when he was 5 years old. So I had very difficult time with his health in the beginning years. And that was the time when I used to fear I might lose him, because when he used to be in intensive care, and I stayed in hospitals for a long time. But later, when all the surgeries were done, he was growing really fine. He was growing, mashallah, alhamdulillah. And then I completely forgot that he was a heart patient.
Right.
And that's when he went.
Okay. So in that time, because you know I had a niece who was born earlier, and alhamdulillah she's perfectly fine now. But it's a really challenging time. So she was in intensive care for 6 weeks, you know, and it is really challenging. And you really do need to call on your faith to, you know, sort of get you through. And you were just a new bride in a new country. What got you through that really challenging time?
I think the point I got the news from my scans that my child will have some health condition. I got closer to Allah. And that was the point where my journey began. My relationship became stronger with my Lord.
Right.
So right from the beginning, after his birth.
So
but then slowly, it grew stronger.
Strength of source of strength for you and your husband as well, I'm sure.
Same.
Yeah. So then fast forward, he went to school, you know, like any other child, and you kind of, like you said, you kind of forgot that, you know, he had these conditions, and he was, alhamdulillah, nice and healthy.
Alhamdulillah.
So when were the signs that his health was deteriorating, or?
No, he was going for regular checkups all his life, like regular 6-month checkups. He was going, but right at the end, it was just stomachache.
Stomachache?
For a few days.
Right.
No fever, no flu, nothing serious about his heart condition. It was just stomachache for a few days. And he wasn't eating very well, but he was fine, you know, doing everything as usual, normal routine. And I remember it was 9th of Muharram, me and my husband was fasting. And I just wanted to make sure that he's fine, just to have a checkup, because I always used to fear, you know, back of my mind that he's a heart patient. So for that reason, I asked him, let's go for checkup. And he was just watching football, perfectly fine. Yeah, of course he had stomachache, but nothing serious, no major problems. And that was the time when we, after opening my fast, we went after nearly Isha time on the 26th of December 2009. He walked with us, we went to the hospital, he had his checkup, and doctor said that the stomachache, he's actually got a lot of fluids in his stomach, in his lungs. That was causing the stomachache. But later, after like few hours, they said he's got a severe chest infection and he's got pneumonia. That was diagnosed.
Oh my goodness.
So within few hours, I think about 3-4 hours, they said, you can call your family and have a family time. And I was shocked. I said, what do you mean? They said, we don't think he will survive. And I was really, really shocked. Me, my husband, we were both shocked that I could not believe what doctors were saying, that he was fine, he was watching telly. We left home, he walked from home, and here he is now, and they are saying, yeah, they tried to drill, they drilled the fluids, and they started all the checkups, and they started to monitor his heart, and that was, they told us that it's pneumonia and it's chest infection and he will not survive. And I still thought, you know, I'm trying to believe what they are saying. But then we called the family. The family came, my children came, and actually in the morning, 8 o'clock, he died in front of me. So within few hours, he went to hospital, he was diagnosed, they tried to treat him. We had the family time, and he left us.
So sorry for your loss. I mean, it's such a tragedy as well, and to happen so quickly.
Very quickly. Very quickly, like all his life of his nearly 19 years, I never ever imagined that he will leave us like that. Yeah, I used to fear when he was small, when he had the surgeries, when he was in intensive care, when the doctors say anything can happen after this surgery. Those were the moments where, you know, I did get scared, but not when he went. No.
And I'm so sorry for your loss. I mean, it's an awful, awful thing to happen. And he was 19 at the time? Yeah?
He was nearly 19, after his 18th birthday, yeah.
So with his whole life ahead of him?
Yeah.
So obviously it was a bit of a shock, you know, unexpected.
Yes.
How did you get through the next few weeks? Can you remember? Is it a bit of a blur?
No, I remember everything. The first thing, the biggest shock after the death was the second day, you know, the day when he died in the morning, the funeral day. Everything happened so quickly. We got the death certificate quickly, the burial happened quickly. I was in the mosque, I remember, in the masjid, people were coming, doing, you know, just saying things to me, condolences, and nothing was sinking in. That what people saying to me. People were saying, "Oh, look at your son's face last time. The body is going," and all those things which people make comments.
Yeah.
And I was like shocked. Who is in this box? I know it was Adam, but everything happened very, very quickly. By Asr time, he was buried. So a day before, you know, a day before when I look back, Asr he was home, Maghrib he was home, Isha he was home. After Isha we went. Between Isha and Fajr, I mean after Fajr he died, and between Fajr and Asr he was in his grave. So less than 24 hours, less than I think 18 hours, everything was done. So when I look back, and at that time, for me it was like there was a picture of 6 of us, and suddenly he disappeared. So from our family picture, he disappeared straight away. So I was looking, and then Adam's not there, and he was my eldest child. So the shock was, it wasn't denial, but it was a shock. And I think that was the moment when I realized the reality of life. That was my reality of life. That moment changed me. And there were no doubts left for me. And I did challenge, you know, my own faith. I was questioning myself that what type of Muslim I am. Because I had to ask myself that question, that did I really believe in Allah? Did I really believe in death? But then when I saw death happening, because I never witnessed death before, I had never seen anybody dying in front of me, no family members, no extended family members. So it was my experience of first death in front of me of my own child. And it was the same for my husband as well. We were both, because Adam was the first grandson of 2 generations. I'm the eldest, my husband's eldest. So he was the first child of 2 generations. Everybody was so close to him. And he had such a special place in everybody's life. And when he disappeared, it was like everybody was in shock. Because nobody expected the way he went. It was
sudden,
shocking. And the next day, people are saying, and I'm thinking, okay, he's in his grave. And then on top of that, I never had been to any graveyard. Some people may not even believe that I was living in this country from last nearly 25, 26 years. But I had never entered graveyard. So my first experience of graveyard was also to enter the graveyard and see the grave of my own son. So when I saw the grave, and I was questioning myself, that actually, is my Adam in this grave? Because all the graves were same. And it was 27th of December after Christmas. There was a lot of snow there. So all the graves were covered with snow. All I could tell was there was a little, plaque. You know, the plaque.
Yeah,
is Adam Ayub and his date. And I was like, okay, this is my son's grave.
It's awful that the first death in a way that I really witnessed was my mother, and I was only 22. And I know in your case it was so sudden with Mum. She had cancer, so we did sort of nurse her through for 6 months. So in a way it was expected.
Yeah, you mentally
still it was a shock because of that hope. So you do your namaz and you pray, you know, Allah help her, you know, cure her, make her better, and obviously it didn't happen. And what you were talking there about sort of denial, you go through that process. So there was that denial, no, she's not going to die, she's going to be fine, she's going to be fine. And she wasn't. And then actually it's interesting because you do question lots of things. And I sort of remember, in fact I don't think you're even conscious of it it sometimes happens very subconsciously.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until later, it was probably a couple of years later, I went to do Umrah. And when I was there, and I remember my last Friday there, you know, doing my prayers, and my last, you know, dua there, and I was just crying, and it was there I realised how much internalized I'd some of my anger and my resentment, and there was my sort of resentment there, which was like, well, how could you take my mum? You know, and astaghfirullah, it's so wrong, but you know, you feel things rather than think things. And I didn't realise it was so internalized. I hadn't even realised there was an element of other people, you know, are 60 years old and they've still got their mum, and I'm only, you know, 22, and you've taken her so early, and there's a resentment. And it took quite a bit of time for me to understand that was going on in me. And I, you know, I'm not happy, but like I say, it's subconscious and you're not even aware of it. And alhamdulillah, I was then made aware of it, which then you can work on what that is, and recognizing that death is a part of life. And but you know, at 21 or something, it's very difficult. And similarly, I'd never been to a graveyard, and it was interesting because, you know, I know their body's there, but technically they're kind of not, and it's all, you know,
all
when
sorts of questions comes to your mind, and you
when
want the answers as well. You want to know, where's the body gone, even though your belief is there. But there's a lot of curiosity, a lot of questions, and then a lot of reading comes in, and a lot of questions and answers comes in, because you want to know.
And then there's lots of mysteries as well, isn't there? You know, lots of when it's I mean, this is one of the reasons I suppose we should inform ourselves and educate ourselves, but in a way you live in a bit of a bubble, and then this happens, and then suddenly it's like, what's the correct rituals, what's the norms, should you do this, shouldn't you do that? And then you've got one person saying do it like this, another person saying like that.
Everybody own experience and suggestions.
And then you're sat there thinking, I just want to be alone, I just want to pray for my mum, I want to say my respects and and it's really it's quite, that sort of first 3 or 4 days is quite traumatic because of all that other stuff. So all you want to do, and I remember myself, I just want to stay in the room, and I think I did stay in a room for about 4 days, and I just wanted to cry by myself, you know, and I just want to be left alone. But in our cultures, sometimes it's grieving is a very public thing, isn't it? People expect you to.
The more you grieve, or the more you show, everybody's. Everybody's way of grieving can be so different, and we have to respect that, and we have to understand how people, you know, the different type of grieving.
Absolutely.
We need to respect and value that.
So obviously it's a very challenging time for you, and I was just talking a bit about my own experience, and it's such a shock, and then to have that with your own child, you know, and your first child, I can't imagine what you went through. But then how did you, you know, when you started to, you know, adjust a little bit over the next few months, what helped you do that?
Alhamdulillah, I'm very, very blessed to have a lovely family around me. My parents are not here, but my in-laws are here, and they're like my parents. And everybody was there for me. I can never repay them. I think at this point, I would say to everyone that please support the person and try to understand the person who's gone through this pain, because the support is crucial. It's crucial for that person, that somebody is actually understanding me, somebody is there for me. So in that case, I was extremely lucky that I had a wonderful family around me. My in-laws, from my mom and dad, my sister-in-law, everybody, then including my own husband and my children. So the support was there. That was the first thing which helps you. Otherwise, you can go into depression the second day. It's not hard. Then later on, you have to have the strength to do something and think about that fact of losing that person in a very logical way, that okay. And being a Muslim, it's very different, because it actually gives you answers, and it actually gives you purpose in life, and it explains you the reality of life. For me, I was reflecting a lot. I was questioning myself, reflecting a lot, what's happened to me, where is he gone? And I think that was the point where I got closer to Allah, and I was waiting for the bereavement counselling, and they were taking so long. They were trying to match me, and it was taking so long that I was getting frustrated, and I really wanted a way of expression. So it was just a random day that I wrote something, just my own personal feelings, and I felt like it was useful. So after a few days I was writing again, and I realized that the writing was helping me. There was no set pattern. It was just after a few days I was writing something very, very personal. My husband knew I was writing something, and he says, "What do you write?" I said, "Ayub, till they will match me with the counsellor, I would like to say, express myself." And after a few weeks I realized that I don't need counselling. This is helping me, but it's very personal and very private. I don't have to even share with my husband. I don't have to share with anybody. It's me, my Allah, my feelings, and I can say whatever in a very confidential, private way, and nobody knows. But the strange thing is, I had never written in my life. Like, I know people have got habit of writing diaries and their personal. So I had no habit or no experience, but I find it very, very effective. So what I did was I gave myself a time period. I said, end of the first year, by December time, November time, I should stop writing, because I don't want to rely on writing. Yes, I need this now because I need to strengthen myself and I need a way to cope. So I gave myself from December to the next December, when he died, to the next year. And I know how I felt, the anxiety near September, October time, because I thought, oh my God, my coping mechanism will go. What will I do? That was the point where this idea came. I should publish this. But it was a very, very difficult decision to make, because it was very personal. Without thinking, I had no clue that I'll be doing this, I'll be taking this step, because of the fact that everything was written, it was very raw, it was very personal, without any commercial ideas that actually one day this will be a book. So when the idea came, I remember I spoke to my husband and I said, "Ayub, I think I should publish this because this can help people." And my husband was in a bit of a shock. That, what are you talking about?
Right. Wow. So basically you've, thank you so much for sharing with us. And so you've, part of the mechanism was writing, and you addressed those letters to your son. We're going to go for a quick break now, sister, and inshallah on the other side of the break we'll come back and we'll hear a lot more about the book and the writing that you did. So inshallah, viewers, see you on the other side of this break, and please feel free to call us and join in.